There's something about life that feels different for you, isn't there? It's not just the usual day-to-day grind. It's like the world around you is constantly trying to send you messages, align certain moments, and throw coincidences your way that are too strange to ignore. You're not imagining it. You're not overthinking. This is real, and it's happening because you're one of the few who actually sees it. You've probably noticed it by now, how you can think about someone, and suddenly they message you out of nowhere. Or maybe you've been wrestling with an important decision, and then something happens that makes the answer crystal clear, almost as if it was handed to you. These aren't random. These are synchronicities, and they're showing up in your life for a reason.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
There's this idea that some people are chosen not in the sense of being better or more special than others, but in the sense of being more attuned. It's like you have a finer tuned radar compared to most. You pick up on the signals that others miss. You notice patterns, recurring themes, and subtle signs that seem to appear just when you need them. And when these synchronicities pop up, they're not just there to entertain you or make life a bit more interesting. They're there to guide you, nudge you, or sometimes even stop you in your tracks. But why you? Why do these things happen to you more than they happen to the people around you? It's because you're aware. You're open. You're looking around instead of just looking down. Most people are so caught up in their own heads that they miss the signs. They miss the bigger picture. But you don't. You see the connections. You notice the threads being woven together in ways that are almost too perfect to be accidental. Here's the interesting thing: synchronicities often show up when you're on the verge of something important. It's like the universe is laying out a path for you, but instead of clear directions, it drops hints, just enough for you to pick up on, as long as you're paying attention. And because you're wired to notice these things, you're more likely to see those hints and follow them. That's why these coincidences seem to find you more often than anyone else. Now think back to the last time something like this happened. Maybe it was something small, like running into an old friend right when you needed advice. Or maybe it was something bigger, something that completely shifted your perspective. Whatever it wasn't random. It was perfectly timed. And when you start to notice just how often these moments happen, it's hard not to wonder if there's a bigger reason behind it all. So, what do you do with these moments? Do you just shrug them off and move on? Or do you stop and think about why they're happening? Because when synchronicities show up, they're like flashing neon signs. They're telling you to pay attention, to look closer, to trust that there's more going on beneath the surface than you realize. Let's get real for a second. Synchronicities are a game changer. But they're not just weird little coincidences that make you feel special. They have a purpose. They're part of a bigger system. A system that's been there all along, but most people are too distracted to notice. It's like the universe has this way of communicating, and synchronicities are its language. And once you start noticing them, it's like learning the code. So why does the universe talk to you more than other people? It's simple: you're listening, you're paying attention, you're receptive to the signals that others brush off as random happenstance. And because of that, the universe keeps sending you more. It's like a feedback loop. The more you notice, the more you get. It's not that you were born with some magical ability to see these things. It's that you've trained yourself to notice what others ignore. But here's the catch: it's not enough to just notice the synchronicities. You have to act on them. Imagine if you kept receiving clues but never followed them. What's the point, right? That's the difference between just living and really living in flow. When you start to see these moments as the universe handing you opportunities, you realize you've been given a roadmap that others don't have. But a roadmap is only useful if you actually follow it. Think about it like this: synchronicities are a compass. They point you in the direction you're meant to go. And when you follow them, things start to fall into place. It's not always easy. Sometimes synchronicities push you out of your comfort zone. They show up when you're about to make a decision that could change everything, and they're there to give you that extra little push. Sometimes they even show up to stop you from going down the wrong path. It's like the universe saying, hey, maybe rethink that. But how often do we actually listen? How many times have you brushed off a coincidence, only to realize later that it was trying to tell you something important? Maybe it was a person who crossed your path at just the right moment, or a conversation that gave you clarity when you needed it most. These things aren't accidents. They're part of the same system that you've been plugged into all along. The real question is, how far are you willing to go with it? Are you going to keep shrugging off these moments as mere chance? Or are you going to start trusting the system? Because once you start trusting it, everything changes. You start to see the world differently. It's like you've unlocked a new level of awareness, and suddenly, things that used to feel random now feel intentional. You start to see how everything is connected. By now, you've probably noticed that these synchronicities aren't just fun little moments to talk about with friends. They're serious. They're part of something deeper. And if you've been paying attention, you know they're showing up for a reason. The next step is figuring out how to live in sync with them every day. How do you turn these random seeming coincidences into a way of life? The answer is surprisingly simple. You stop trying to control everything. You stop forcing things to happen the way you think they should and start trusting that the universe knows what it's doing. That's hard, right? Let's be real, most of us like to feel in control. We like to plan, to know what's coming next. But synchronicities don't work on your timeline. They show up when they're supposed to, not when it's convenient for you. And that's the key. You have to be willing to let go of your need to control everything. When you start doing that, something amazing happens. Life starts flowing in a way that feels effortless. You stop fighting against the current and start moving with it. And that's when the real magic starts. Synchronicities don't just happen once in a while. They become part of your everyday experience. You start to see signs everywhere. You meet the right people at the right time. Opportunities come your way that you never could have predicted. But here's the thing: you have to be open to it. You can't just sit back and wait for the universe to do all the work. You have to meet it halfway. That means staying present, paying attention, and being willing to take action when the signs show up. It means trusting that even when things don't make sense, there's a reason for it. And it means letting go of the need to know exactly how everything will play out. So here's the deal. If you want to live in flow with synchronicity, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to trust the process, even when it's uncomfortable. Because the universe isn't going to hand you everything on a silver platter. It's going to give you clues, opportunities, and nudges, but you have to be brave enough to follow them. And when you do, that's when life starts to feel like it's working for you instead of against you. That's when synchronicities stop being random and start feeling like a natural part of your existence. That's when you realize that the universe has been guiding you all along, You just had to start paying attention. Here's where it gets real. Synchronicity is not just about cool moments or chance encounters. It's about trust. Trusting that life isn't random, that there's a flow you can tap into, and that this flow is leading you somewhere important. But trusting isn't passive. It's not about sitting back and hoping everything works out. It's about paying attention to what's happening around you and then taking action when the signs show up. You've probably noticed by now that synchronicities tend to happen more when you're in a state of uncertainty. It's like when you're at a crossroads, unsure of what to do next. That's when the universe starts sending you all these little breadcrumbs. Maybe it's a chance conversation with a stranger that gives you clarity, or a song that comes on the radio with lyrics that match exactly what you've been thinking. These moments aren't just happening to you, they're happening for you. They're pointing you in the direction you need to go, but it's up to you to take the next step. So let's talk about trust for a second. Trust is hard. Trust means letting go of control, letting go of the need to have everything figured out right now. And that's scary, right? We all want to feel like we're in charge of our lives, like we know where we're going. But here's the thing: when you trust synchronicity, you're not giving up control. You're aligning yourself with something bigger. You're saying, okay, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I trust that the universe is showing me the way. And here's what happens when you do that: things start to fall into place. It might not happen in the way you expect, or even in the way you want, but it will happen in the way that's best for you. The universe has a way of arranging things in ways that are better than anything you could have planned, but you've got to get out of your own way. You have to be willing to let go of your preconceived ideas of how things should be and be open to how they could be. Think about it. How many times have you tried to force something to happen only to have it blow up in your face? And then, how many times have you let go and trusted the process only to have things fall into place in a way that was better than you ever imagined? That's synchronicity. That's the universe showing you that it's got your back. Now, let's be clear: trusting synchronicity doesn't mean you get to sit back and do nothing. It means you get to be actively engaged with your life. It means paying attention to the signs, listening to your gut, and then taking action when the moment feels right. It means knowing that even when things don't make sense, they're unfolding exactly as they should. So let me ask you this: how much do you really trust? How much are you willing to let go of the need to control every outcome and instead allow life to unfold in its own way? Because when you start trusting, you'll find that synchronicities don't just happen by accident, they become a way of life. All right, so now you understand that synchronicities are happening for a reason. They're showing up more in your life because you're paying attention, because you're open to them. But what if I told you that you could actually use synchronicity to shape your reality? That's right, you're not just a passive observer in this whole thing. You have the power to influence how these moments show up in your life. Here's how it works. Synchronicity is all about alignment. When you're aligned with your true self, when your thoughts, actions, and intentions are in harmony with what you really want, synchronicities start to show up more and more. It's like the universe is responding to your energy, reflecting back to you what you're putting out there. So, if you want to see more synchronicities in your life, you have to get clear on what you're really about. What do you want? What are you trying to create? What kind of energy are you putting out into the world? Because the universe is always responding to that energy. If you're scattered, unsure, or conflicted, the signs will be just as scattered. But if you're clear, focused, and intentional. The signs will show up in a way that feels aligned and purposeful. It's like tuning a radio. If you're on the wrong frequency, all you get is static. But when you tune into the right frequency, everything becomes clear. That's what synchronicity is. It's the universe responding to the frequency you're putting out. But here's the cool part: you can change your frequency. You can shift your energy to align with what you really want. And when you do that, the synchronicities will follow. It's not magic, it's just the way the universe works. It's like a feedback loop. The more you align with your true self, the more the universe responds with synchronicities that guide you in the right direction. So how do you do that? How do you shift your energy to align with what you really want? It starts with getting real about who you are and what you're here to do. It means stripping away the distractions, the doubts, and the fears that keep you from being your true self. It means focusing on what feels right, what feels like it's in alignment with your purpose. When you do that, synchronicities start showing up everywhere. You meet the right people, you find the right opportunities, and things just seem to flow. It's not that life becomes easy. There will still be challenges, but you'll find that the path gets clearer. The universe will keep showing you the way. All you have to do is keep trusting, keep paying attention, and keep following the signs. Here's the truth: synchronicity is the ultimate power move. It's the universe's way of helping you level up, of showing you the next step on your path. But it's up to you to take that step. It's up to you to live in alignment with your true self, to trust the process, and to take action when the signs appear. And here's the best part: once you start living in alignment, synchronicity becomes a constant presence in your life. It's not something that happens every once in a while. It's something that happens every day. It's like you've unlocked a secret code that shows you exactly where to go and what to do next. But let's be real, living in alignment isn't always easy. It requires you to be honest with yourself, to let go of the things that aren't serving you, and to trust that the universe has your back even when things get tough. It's about being willing to take risks, to step into the unknown, and to follow the signs even when you can't see the whole picture. So, are you ready to make synchronicity your new normal? Are you ready to live in alignment with the flow of the universe? Because when you do, life stops feeling like a series of random events and starts feeling like a perfectly orchestrated dance. And that, my friend, is the greatest gift you could ever receive. Let's talk about flow. You know that feeling when everything just clicks? When you're doing something and time seems to disappear, you're in the zone, and it feels like everything you need is right there, falling into place effortlessly. That's what living in synchronicity leads to, a state of flow, where life feels less like a struggle and more like things are happening for you, not to you. When you're in flow, synchronicities become a natural part of your everyday experience. You stop questioning the how and start focusing on the what. What do you want? What feels right? What's the next step? And as soon as you get clear on those things, the universe responds in ways that sometimes don't even make sense at first. But here's the thing: you don't need to know how it works. You just need to trust that it does. Think about the last time you were in flow. Maybe it was when you were working on something you were passionate about, and suddenly everything just came together. The right people showed up, the right opportunities appeared, and it felt like you were riding a wave. That's what synchronicity does. It helps you get into that flow state more often, and it keeps you there. But here's the catch: you can't force flow. You can't force synchronicity. The more you try to control things, the more the magic slips away. Flow happens when you let go, when you trust, when you stop trying to micromanage every detail and instead just focus on being present. It's about showing up, doing the work, and then allowing things to unfold in their own time. And that's the hardest part for most of us, right? Because we're wired to want certainty. We want to control the outcomes. But synchronicity doesn't work that way. It's like a dance. You have to let go of the lead sometimes and trust that the universe knows the steps better than you do. And when you do that, when you stop resisting and start allowing, that's when the flow kicks in. So, what's the takeaway here? Simple: stop pushing. Stop trying to make everything happen exactly the way you want it to. Instead, start paying attention to the signs and let yourself be guided by them. When you're in sync with the universe, life doesn't feel like a constant uphill battle. It feels like you're moving with the current, not against it. Here's a mind-bender: synchronicity is not just something that happens to you. It's actually a reflection of what's going on inside you. Think of it as a mirror. The universe is constantly reflecting back the energy, the thoughts, and the intentions you're putting out there. So when synchronicities happen, they're showing you something about yourself. If you're constantly experiencing synchronicities that feel positive, that's a sign you're in alignment with your true self. You're tuned in, and the universe is responding to that energy. But if you're noticing more challenging synchronicities, things that feel like roadblocks, delays, or setbacks, it's not the universe punishing you. It's showing you where you're out of alignment. This is where a lot of people get tripped up. We tend to see synchronicities as either rewards or punishments, but they're neither. They're just feedback. They're the universe's way of saying, hey, here's what's happening based on the energy you're putting out. It's like getting a report card for your soul. And the best part, you can change it at any time. So what do you do when the synchronicities you're experiencing don't feel good? You don't freak out. You don't panic. You simply take a step back and ask, what's this showing me about where I am right now? Maybe you're holding on to fear, doubt, or resistance. Maybe you're out of alignment with your purpose. Whatever it is, the synchronicities are showing you exactly where you need to make a shift. The beauty of synchronicity is that it's always giving you the tools you need to course correct. It's like having a GPS for your soul's journey. When you're on the right path, the signs are clear and encouraging. When you're off course, the signs get a little more challenging, but they're still there to guide you back to where you need to be.